This actually happened. A simple charity photo shoot in Barcelona back in 2007 somehow turned into one of the craziest full-circle moments football has ever seen. And the wildest part? The photo stayed forgotten for years, until it suddenly went viral and made this World Cup final feel less like real life and more like something straight out of a movie. So here's how this unbelievable story actually started. Back in 2007, Lionel Messi was already becoming one of Barcelona's brightest stars. He was only 20 years old, but fans could already tell he was something special. Around that time, Barcelona teamed up with UNICEF and the Spanish newspaper Sport for a charity calendar. The idea was simple. Barcelona players would pose with local families to help raise money for children. One of those families came from Mataró, a town near Barcelona. Lamen Yamal's mother had entered a raffle, and by pure luck, her baby was picked to be part of the photo shoot. That's how a few-month-old Yamal ended up in the same room as Lionel Messi. Photographer Joan Monfort asked Messi to help hold the baby and even gently bathe him in a small plastic tub for the photos. At the time, it was just another assignment. Messi finished the shoot, everyone went home, and nobody thought those pictures would ever matter again. They were simply a few heartwarming charity photos. Or at least, that's what everyone believed. Little did anyone know, those forgotten pictures were quietly capturing the beginning of one of football's most unbelievable stories. For years, those photos were basically forgotten. Messi went on to become a football legend. He won Champions Leagues, Ballon d'Or trophies, broke records that most players could only dream about, and finally lifted the World Cup with Argentina. Meanwhile, the little baby in those pictures was just growing up like any other kid in Spain, completely unknown to the football world. But then everything changed. In 2023, a teenager named Lamen Yamal exploded onto the scene at Barcelona. Almost overnight, everyone was asking the same question. Who is this kid? At just 16 years old, he was playing with confidence way beyond his age. He wasn't scared of defenders, he wasn't afraid of the big moments, and before long, people were calling him the future of football. Now fast forward to today, and this is where the story goes from unbelievable to absolutely insane. Lionel Messi is getting ready to play in what could be the final World Cup match of his legendary career. On the other side is Lamen Yamal, the teenager many fans believe could be football's next global superstar. The age gap between them is almost 20 years, but for one night, none of that matters. They're standing on the same stage, chasing the exact same trophy. What's even crazier is that the man who took those famous photos still can't believe how everything turned out. Photographer Joan Monfort recently admitted that he never believed in destiny. To him, that day in 2007 was just another job. But after watching Messi and Yamal reach a World Cup final together, even he says he's starting to question whether some things are simply meant to happen. In his words, this story is better than any film script. And honestly, it's hard to disagree. Think about the odds for a second. Out of millions of babies in Spain, Yamal's family happened to win a charity raffle. Out of all the Barcelona players, he was paired with Lionel Messi. Then that same baby grows up, becomes Barcelona's next superstar after Messi leaves the club, wins a major international trophy with Spain, and eventually meets Messi again. Not for another photo, but as his opponent in the biggest game in football. You couldn't plan a story like this if you tried. That's why fans all over the world aren't just talking about the World Cup final. They're talking about the journey that started with one forgotten picture and somehow ended with 2 generations of football sharing the biggest stage in the sport. And maybe that's why this story has hit people so hard. It's not just about Messi. It's not just about Lamine Yamal. It's about how football can create moments that nobody could ever predict. One photo from a charity event in 2007 sat unnoticed for years. Then suddenly, it became one of the most powerful images in sports. On one side, you have Lionel Messi, the player many people call the greatest of all time. On the other, you have Lamen Yamal, the teenager carrying the hopes of football's next generation. No matter who lifts the World Cup trophy, this moment is already part of football history. Years from now, fans won't just remember the final score. They'll remember that one iconic photo, where a young Messi was holding a baby who would one day grow up to challenge him on the biggest stage in the world. And if football can give us a story like this, Who knows what unbelievable moment is coming next? That's exactly why this game never stops amazing us, and why you won't want to miss the next story, because sometimes the craziest football moments aren't the ones on the pitch. They're the ones that begin years before anyone even notices.